This conference will now be recorded.
So this is what we have seen yesterday. What is RDD persistent? And we have gone through this each and everything. We understand that if we have a multiple actions, if you have a multiple actions like this, to avoid the recomputation, either we'll go with the cache or persist. When I do the cache or persist, what will happen? So whatever the data initially it is calculated, whatever the data since whatever the initially is calculated, it will come and store into the memory based on the what type of persist level you are using, storage level you are using. Suppose if you are using the storage level as a memory and a disk, it will go on memory and a disk. If you are using only memory, it will go to only memory. If it's only disk, it will go to only disk. So these are the different storage levels. Okay, so we have seen that yesterday we discussed about theoretically. So let's see that how the persist and this low work. So for that, one second. Hmm, I think I have to timeout is there, so I need to just okay, freshly starting. So what is a persist? What is a persist? What is a persist? Mohan, Prapurna, Maunika. What is a
Persist
persist?
is a memory.
Okay, guys, persist
It
means
has different
persisting only.
storage levels.
Normally, no. Persist means normally in general words also persist means you are saving, you are storing somewhere. Okay, so here also in a Spark also when you say persist, the meaning of it is the persist will save the data which is there in RDD into the memory or a disk or whatever it is. Okay, into the memory or disk. Okay, when it will store, when the first time the computation is over. So as per I explained the diagram, as per the whatever I have explained the diagram here, so you have RDD, RDD1 and so on, RDD10, right? In this RDD10, when you do the persist and you call an action on that, so what it does, first it will go and compute, and whatever the result you get into the RDD10, that result will go and store in the memory or a disk. Okay, after first action is over, the amount of data which is there in RDD10 will store into the memory or a disk, whatever the storage level you specify, it will store there. And it also useful when you call another action on the same, RDD, what will happen, it will avoid the computation. Already it has computed and just wasted some amount of the time, it spent some amount of the time. When you call the next action, it will save that much amount of time because it will not do the recomputation. It will directly make use of your RDD10, whatever the value is there, it will directly get from the memory or a disk. Okay, that is an advantage of persist or cache. So we may have a lot of transformations we might have applied to avoid that recomputation. When you call the second action, we will go with the cache or persist. What is the persist or cache does? They save the RDD into memory or a disk when after the first computation is done. So next time whenever call the action on the same RDD, it will not do the computation, it will get the data from RDD, or sorry, it will get the data from memory. And another important point you guys need to remember is, in case of cache or persist, It will also store the lineage plan, the lineage graph. In case of any executor or any of them or lost the data which is there in the disk or memory, it is making use of that lineage graph. It will making use of the lineage graph, the plan RDD1, RDD2, this plan. It will reconstruct. These are the two most important points you need to remember whenever the cache and persist. So cache and persist is the most important interview questions. Okay, so don't ignore or don't simply try to answer other things. Try to answer very simple and perfect. Okay, let's do an example. Let's do an example. Okay, so for this we need some data. Okay, we were saved FL also, right? Fruits RDD, you really don't need to specify the partitions. By default, it will create partitions also. I'm just taking the uh, what I meant to say, like a key value pair. I could have saved them into. I could have saved these things into uh, whatever the examples we are doing. I could have saved this into a document for simply copy paste the data and all those things. Now see, every time I need to type, and now every time I need to val parallelize fn. Okay, now I have a two RDDs. I have a two RDDs. So now I'm going to okay. So what operations will perform here? Let's do simply let's do the okay, let me do one thing. I'll apply simple map transformation here. FL map. What is it? FL map I'll do uh, FLRDD dot map transformation. Each element I'll take here. Each element is nothing but tuple. Okay, you need to understand that each element is nothing but a tuple. Here, every element I'll try to okay, I'll try to do dot underscore one comma second value is the size of that. So for every size I want to add one letter. Nearly dot underscore 2 plus 1. Let's see what will happen here. FL map dot collect. So one value is appended. Okay. After this, I want to do the duplicates, dedupe. Can anyone help me how to do the dedupe? How to do the dedupe? Did it so many times. What is the transformation to do the dedupe? Okay, now we have only unique values. Okay, so what else we can do? What else we do? Okay, enough this much. Um, okay, okay. Instead of deduping, I want to, if any key has, okay, I'll directly go here. FL I have. So in FL I have duplicates. Before I do the dedupe, what I will do, mm, if any of the element has twice, let's say kiwi is there twice, right? So kiwi come at 10. It means two times it came. So it came two times. So I will do the sum by key. Suppose apple two times came. Apple 6 comma 6 12. Like that I will just count it. Okay. So because I'll just let me do that as well, at least. Uh, Reduce length sum. Length sum. Okay. So for that, FL map dot reduce by key. Reduce by key. Can do like this. Okay. Now if you go length sum, if you do this, we will get kiwi 10, guava 4, apple 12 because apple two times were there. Yeah, remaining all are kiwi and apple. Kiwi and apple is the duplicated ones. Others are not duplicated. Okay, so now if we go and see the lineage graph, okay, one is a parallel, then some map transformation, then data shuffled. Okay, so let's do one thing. I will go here and I'll do the persist. I'll do here persist. Length sum dot. So as I told you, you have a persist has a different storage levels. So if you want to specify those storage levels, uh, we have to, let me show you, persist, persist. And if you specify like this, if you press enter, what it says, default is actually memory. Actually, it goes to memory. You can see the differences above debug string, above debug string, and after persisting, you can see the debug string. So parallelized, okay. So parallelized, memory deserialized, one time replicated. Memory deserialized, one time replicated. Memory deserialized, one time replicated. Means by default it is went to memory only. So how will I know whether it's there in the memory or not? You just do lens dot collect, then sum dot collect. One action has to execute. Okay. After executing the action, let's do the debug string. Still it is there, so it's cached because you need to do the, see, just you have used persist until you call the first time, until you call an action, the data will not be stored, but the transformation will be applied. The persist will happen, but it will not store the data. When it will store the data, when you execute the collection, or sorry, when you execute the action, when you execute the action, then only it will go and store. Look at here, now the debug string parallelized, then this cached, the cached the things, 840 bytes, 840 bytes, 8 partitions, 840 bytes has been stored into the memory. Let's see that whether it is stored or not. So that also we can see, we have a local host storage You see here, shuffled RDD, memory with the one, yesterday it was empty. I hope you guys remember there was no entry here. Then this much of amount of data has been loaded here. On the disk, no. On the disk, it is not stored anything. On disk, it didn't store anything. It directly stored everything in the memory because I didn't specify anything in the disk. I specified only memory. This is most important session. Please keep in mind, and please, if you have any doubts, please ask me. Okay. Now, so by default it is a memory. So now I want to say memory and disk also. Memory and disk also. So to do that memory and disk, actually, if you see this, uh, wait, it's not loading. If you see this is the storage level. It's a different class actually. Look at here, storage level dot memory. So different storage level is a different class. Actually, we need to import that class. By default, it won't be available. Okay, we need to import that class. So let me show you also. If I didn't import, what will happen? I'll show you. See, it's not able to recognize. I have pressed tab, it didn't recognize. It didn't recognize. So storage level. I'm pressing tab. It didn't recognize. Dot. So I'll say now by default I have already seen the memory only. Let's see now memory and disk. Memory and disk. Okay. So I'll do one thing. Before I store this, whether it is stored only in memory or whether it is stored in the disk or where it is stored, I'll show you. Where it is stored, I'll show you. For that there is a method called get storage level. Get storage level. So what storage level it has used, it will show. What storage level it has used, it will show memory, because I didn't specify anything. Default is a memory. Default is the memory. Now I will go ahead and I'll go ahead and execute persist storage level dot. This time I'll say disk. So all capital letters. It will throw error because I didn't import the class. I have to import the class. Okay, I have to import the class. So how I have to import the class? It's very simple. Import org dot apache dot it is in spark dot it is there in storages storage dot uh, storage levels storage level. Now if you execute this command, it will work. Unsupported operation cannot change the storage level of RDD after it is already assigned to the level. So it is already assigned. What it is saying? It's good. Now we have seen one more exception here. So already it is stored in the memory. Once you already store in the memory, how can you change to disk? That's what it's throwing an error. It is saying that you already stored in the memory. So you're trying to do again. So if I need to do, if I need to execute the second command, what I need to do? The first one, I need to do the unpersist. I need to do the unpersist. I need to do the unpersist. This is another important. So people may ask in interview, sir, you have stored that data into the persist. I mean, you have stored the data into uh, memory by using persist. How will you remove the data? When the data will get removed? So you have to call unpersist. You have to call unpersist. Very simple. Call the unpersist. The unpersist is called. Now you go ahead and execute the storage level disk only. It will work. It will work. So I have not executed action yet. I have not executed action yet, but I'm going to show you one thing. I can say get storage level. That's one part. It is showing the disk now. I can call to debug string, I can show you the disk. Earlier it was memory, now it is disk. Here you can see that disk serialized, disk serialized, disk serialized. Earlier it was memory serialized, memory deserialized, memory deserialized, because it's in a disk, right? So disk obviously it required the serialization. Okay, now I'll go ahead and call a action on this. After unpersist, I have to show you in the disk. I have to show you here. After unpersist, let me refresh this. It's gone. I have unpersisted. Now I call the persist, but I haven't called action. No, I haven't called action. Until I call action, the data will not be run. Data will not be there. Now you go here and refresh. Now it is stored. It is a disk serialized. Earlier the data was here. Earlier the data was in memory. Now the data is in disk. Earlier the data was in memory. Now the data is in disk. It's really important. Please concentrate. If you guys have any questions, please ask me. Let me call it debug string. It has a lineage graph also. Okay. If you call that get storage level, it really shows that what is the storage level it is. It is a disk and one replica. Is this clear to everyone? Okay.
Yes, Ravi.
So what is the use of the persisting? We can avoid the recomputation, and we can avoid the recomputation in case of if you call the next action, we can get the data directly from the memory. We'll not do the memory or a disk. We will not do the recomputation. That's one advantage. Second advantage is since that persist or cache will store the lineage graph also with it. Will store the lineage graph also with it. In case of any failure happen, it can reconstruct there. It can reconstruct there. So there is no problem with it. It can reconstruct. That is the one. Now, what is the use of the get storage level? So this method will help us whether it has a storage in the memory or not. Let me show you. We did a lot of RDDs above, right? We have a FL RDD. Let me show you. We have a FL RDD, FL map also there. So let's say FL map dot storage level or FL RDD also storage level. Okay, FL map dot get storage level is there is no storage level. There is no storage level. uh, FLRDD also you can see. So the advantage of this get storage level, so we can check whether the storage level is there or not. If there is no storage level, we can assign it. Okay, so but we have a lensum. Lensum is the last RDD. So as per this diagram, I have done all the transformation. The RDD10 is my RDD10 is my like lensum RDD. So if I call another action on the another action on the lensum, directly it will get me the data from the disk. It will not do the recomputation. It will not do the recomputation. Okay, so that's a more important. So how to remove the data from the RDD? How to remove the data from RDD?
Unprocessed.
Unpersist. So now I'm going to do the unpersist on the lensum. Let me do unpersist, because if I try to do the cache again, so I already have the persist in it. If I try to do the cache here, you say that it's already there is one storage level. I cannot do the cache, even though it's a disk. Even though it's a disk, whatever it is, it's already there. So first you do the unpersist. You do the unpersist. There is no uncache. Unpersist only. For cache also unpersist only. There is no uncache. Okay. Only one method is there. Unpersist. After unpersist, I will go ahead and do the caching. Now we do see the debug string, or you can get that what is the storage level. It's a memory, because it's a by default memory. Cache is by default memory. There is no other storage level for the cache. By default memory. And I have not yet called the action on this. After setting the cache, I haven't called action. So I have to call an action. Then only it will actually loads the information and stores into the memory. If you go here and refresh it, you will not be having any data. So now if I call an action, after calling an action, go here and refresh it, you will see that data is there. The data is there in the memory. The data is there in the memory, not in the disk. So if you want memory and a disk, you can have also memory and a disk together, so that you can use the memory and disk storage level. Okay, I hope you guys are following.
Ravi,
Yeah,
after persist, can we join this RDD with a different RDD?
this you can do.
Okay.
You can apply any transformations, you can do that, but till whatever the persist you have done, after that if you apply any transformations, till what level you have, what RDD you have persisted, that time it will not avoid the recompetition. So
Okay.
now after 10, as per this diagram, after 10 I have applied some more transformations. Let's assume that after 10 I haven't called an action. I have not called the actions. I did some more transformations here. Some RDD. I'm actually using mouse. That's the reason. Let's say 20. Okay, so if you do that last RDD, let's say 25. So when you do the action on this 25, till here whatever you have calculated, it will not do the recompetition. From here again it will call. From action RDD 10, it will keep on recompute. Because you till here it will not. It's already cached. So already data is output is stored. Why should I go again compute it? So from here that output will be make use of it.
Okay, understood.
So next, any other questions, guys? So let me show you the memory with the disk. Let me unpersist it first. After unpersist, I want to store you with the cache. If you try storage levels, disk or something, it will not work. Storage level dot automatically come. If you try to do with the cache, it will not work. Cache will not be having any storage levels. Cache by default memory only. You can't set any other storage level for cache, but you can do for the persist. That's the advantage. You can do for the persist. Let me do that persist. So no, memory only we have seen, disk only we have seen. We will see the next part, this one. Memory and disk will see. Memory and disk will see. Calling persist is not enough. You have to call action. Okay, anyway, we'll call one action. Then only the data will be loaded. So I have not yet called action. You can go ahead and see that memory once again. I have unpersisted. If I do refresh, it will remove. After if I do the action, the data will be loaded. This time it is a memory and a disk. Let's see what will happen. You see here, but it's enough, it's able to fit into the memory only. That's I think it's fitted into the only memory. Let me, if it's not fit into the memory, it can share with the disk. Let me do the to debug string. Okay, so yeah, that's the reason it's able to fit into the memory. That's the reason it's stored into the memory. If it is not fit into the memory, it could have shared with the disk. Get to storage level. So disk memory and deserialized on replica. Okay, you guys try other storage levels. Try other storage levels. So this 2 is nothing but replication 2. So here you see that one replica, right? But if you say specify 2, it means 2 replications. Okay, if you specify 2, the 2 replications. So you guys try other storage levels. If you find any difference, then please let me know. Any questions here about the cache and persist?
Sir, one small question. Uh, if how long this will be staying in the cache? Is there any time limit?
That is what we need to do the unpersist. Until you do the unpersist, it will be there in the memory.
Okay, it will be there in the memory. So even with the disk also the same. For example, abruptly
Yes.
our program got stopped, like because there is some issue in the program, then those will be like, that storage will be like orphanage, like, or is there any
Yes.
garbage collector or something?
It will be there for sometimes. If there is no references, garbage will be collected. No reference. If there is no reference, if there is no referring the data, the garbage will be collected. But the disk, it will be there in the disk only. I'm talking about memory. So garbage cannot collect from the disk. A disk is a
Uh,
normal physical storage, right?
yes. So if you're not doing unpersist, it will be staying there forever.
Yes.
If disk is selected. Okay.
Yes. Okay. There is one more thing called checkpoint. Let me show that. Checkpoint actually it comes in the streamings. So let me show the checkpointing also. This is also another important. Checkpoint. Yeah, I also cover this. Yeah, you can see here. The Spark automatically monitors cache usage on each node and drop out the old data partitions in the LRU. Suppose it's not able to fit memory when the new data is coming on, so least recently used records will be removed. And always it will keep the latest data. If you would like to manually remove the RDD instead of wait for it to fall out of the cache, use the unpersist. Okay. So there is something called LRU. LRU is like nothing but least recently used. Suppose I did the cache now. Okay, the new data come, I did again cache. It'll not throw memory is not there like that. So because the old data anyway I'm not using it, it will remove the data. I mean remove means it will drop out those records. It will freshly load the new records. Why sir? Why it is dropping out? Sir, tomorrow if I need the same data, how it will be? Since it is stored the lineage, it can reconstruct. That is advantage. That's the difference between the checkpoint and persist cache. Checkpoint cannot store the lineage graph. It will delete the lineage. So in case of anything happen, you cannot recover from the checkpoint. But in case of cache and persist, since it has the lineage, even though the data is dropped out from the disk or from the memory, with the help of the lineage graph, it will reconstruct. Okay, that's the most important difference between cache and checkpoint. People will ask an interview. Remember, people will ask an interview, what is the difference between the persist, cache and checkpoint? So you can tell that what is the difference between the persist and cache. Cache is the memory only, where persist has a different storage levels. The first difference. Persist has a lineage graph. It will store along with the data, but the checkpoint will store the data, but it cannot store the lineage graph. So in case of any dropout or any data drops in the checkpoint, we cannot recover. We cannot reconstruct. In case of persist and cache, we can do that. Okay, try remember that point is more important. Okay, next let me show you one more. It actually comes in the streaming. That's what I told you. It actually comes into the streaming. Okay, so we have seen cache and persist. So it is a streaming, streaming. So this was a RDD programming guide. This is the RDD programming guide. You can see here. Okay, this is a streaming programming guide. Okay, so that's the reason. So cache and persist we have already seen. I don't want to go through it again. Look at the checkpointing. Look at the checkpointing. A streaming application must operate 24/7 and hence must be resilient to failures. Resilient to failures means in case of anything happened, it should be fault tolerant. So unrelated to the application logic, the system failure or JVM crashes or something, for this it should be possible. Spark streaming needs checkpointing enough information to fault tolerant storage system such that it can be recovered from the failures. So there are two type of data that are checkpointed. One is metadata checkpointing, another one is data checkpointing. Metadata checkpointing, another one is data checkpointing. So look at here, saving what is a metadata checkpointing? Saving the information of information defining the streaming computation fault tolerant storage like a HDFS. This is used to recover the failure of node running the driver of the streaming application. So it's saying that we have a bottom there is still we can discuss in detail more. So configuration, dstream operations, incompatible batches. So this is you may not be able to understand at this point of time, but when we are discussing about a streaming, you'll understand what is a dstreaming, what is the dstreaming configurations. Configurations are nothing but a configuration. Look at here, the configuration that was used to create a streaming application. Dstream is an object like RDD. How we are dealing with the RDD, right? Dstream is like an RDD, but it's not an RDD. It is a collection of RDD. A set of dstream operations that define in the streaming application. Incomplete batches. Incomplete batches. There will be some batches was not processed. Batches whose job is queued but not have completed it. So those things we can do the checkpointing. But coming to the data checkpointing, saving the generated RDDs to reliable storage. Sir, you said here dstream, then you are saying RDD. How come, sir? So your dstream is nothing but collection of RDDs. Your dstream is nothing but collection of or sequence of RDDs. Your dstream internally contains RDDs only. Your dstreams internally contains RDDs only. So that's the reason RDD came into picture here. Saving the generated RDDs to reliable storage. This is necessarily some stateful transformation that combine data across the multiple batches. What is the stateful transformation, sir? What is the stateless transformation, sir? So stateful transformations are something like, suppose you have applied one batch is completed and you apply some transformation. I want to make use of that batch in the streaming, guys. Once you completed one batch, so that is done. Okay, so when you want to keep a result of that batch information and you want to apply that with the help of that information, you want to apply into next batch, we'll go with the stateful transformations. The state will maintain, the status will maintain across the batches. Okay, but at this point of time, you guys can just ignore. If you're not able to follow, don't worry, just ignore. So we can, when we are discussing about the streaming, I'll cover this part. In such transformation, the generated RDDs needs depend on the RDDs of the previous batch. Oh, here it clearly mentioned. Look at here. In such transformations, the generated RDDs depends on the RDDs of the previous batch, which causes the length of the dependency chain keep increasing with the time. So with what is the time? Because every batch, so in the streaming, right, in the streaming, every batch will have a time when this batch is created, when this RDD is created. So you will be having the time. Okay, every batch the data is continuously coming, right? So what time the data came, what time the next data came, what time the next data came, so that information will be there. So that is with the time. So to avoid such unbounded increases recovery time, intermediate RDDs of the stateful transformations are periodically checkpointed to like a reliable storage HDFS to cut off the dependency chain. Cut off the dependency chain. Try to remember this point. Cut off the dependency chain means you're removing the dependency chain. What is the dependency chain? Dependency chain is nothing but what? Your lineage graph only, no? Dependency chain is nothing but your lineage graph only, no? So such kind of scenarios, your date checkpointing will be used. So to summarize, metadata checkpointing is primarily need to recover from the driver failure because it requires the metadata. Whereas data are data or RDD checkpointing is necessary even for basic functioning if the stateful transformations are used. So if you are using any stateful transformations on in your streaming applications, go with the checkpointing. Okay, when to enable the checkpointing? When to enable the checkpointing? Look at here. Checkpointing must be enabled for the applications with any of the following is required. Using the stateful transformations, either update state by key, reduce by key, and window. So these are all stateful. Okay, these are stateful. These are not stateless. These are stateful transformations. So I'll show you the differences between the stateful and stateless transformations in streaming, not in the normal RDD. In the normal RDD, you will not be having those kind of transformations. You will not be having them. Okay, in application. Then the checkpointing directory must be provided, specific checkpointing like that. Here you really no need to specify which location the data has to store, which location in the normal persistent storage, but here you have to tell that checkpointing directory you have to give, that HDFS location you have to give while creating your streaming application. In the streaming application, you explicitly specify that checkpointing this directory path you will give. Okay, and recovery from the failure of the driver running applications, metadata checkpointing is required. So note that simple streaming applications without that mentioned stateful transformations can be run without enabling the checkpoint. They can run, but the recovery from the driver failure will also be partial in case of if you don't have checkpointed. So how to configure? Look at here. This is what I was talking about. Checkpointing directory. This checkpointing directory will be having a path. Set the checkpointing directory path. This is SSC. This is not SC. What is SSC? Streaming context. Spark streaming context. SSC. Spark streaming context. Okay. So we will use the checkpointing directory on the Spark streaming context. Any questions? How the data will store, sir? It will store in the binary form. In the checkpointing directory, the data will store in the binary form. Okay.
So, sir, this cannot be used apart from streaming context, right? So no Spark context, no Spark session anywhere else.
No, it is that is not like that. You can use the checkpointing, but the main usage of this is Spark streaming context only. So let me show you here one example with our RDD. So it doesn't mean that we cannot use in our RDDs. Okay, we have to specify our checkpointing directory like sc dot set checkpointing, right? Let me check it is. Yeah, set checkpointing directory. Here you need to specify some directory path. Here you need to specify some directory path. Where is the path? Do I have any path like a file colon slash? No, I can use a file colon slash that path. Okay, let me.
And one more small question.
Please.
So if in your program we have some differences between cache, persist, and also the checkpointing, right? In a program, can I use all the three?
What is the use? You tell me.
See, for example, the checkpointing.
And same RDD, see, I have shown you here on a same RDD you cannot do, no? Have you observed this issue? Cannot change storage level of RDD after it is already assigned level. And same RDD you cannot do. And same RDD you cannot do. And same RDD you can do either only one, right? Either cache or persist.
Okay, then how checkpointing is different, sir? You are doing that on Spark context level. So whatever that goes through the Spark context will be stored in the directory. Is that correct way of understanding?
Yeah, so far what I have shown you, Venki, checkpointing is also it will store your data, calculated data or computed data, but it will remove
Everything, like
lineage.
using this Spark context, if we have used so many RDDs, everything will be stored in this
Why it will
checkpoint
store
directory.
everything? Only that last RDD information only, right? The last result only it will store. So here length sum I did, right? Length sum I did the persist. So what data it is persisted?
Whatever the data that is in length sum RDD.
Whatever the data is there in the length sum RDD, you are very much clear, right? But why it,
Yes.
how it will be different than others? There also, if you are performing on that specific RDD, that information will be stored in the memory. I mean, it's a disk or memory, whatever the storage level if you give. Okay. You're able to follow, Venki?
No, I cannot understand that. So, for example, if I just enable this set checkpoint directory and I don't use persist and I don't use catchy anything in the program, so will in that case even checkpoint directory is set checkpoint will be useful or not?
Checkpoint directory is useful.
For example, I'm saying that I'm not using persist, I'm not using catchy, okay, in the entire program, but just enable the set checkpoint directory. So what will be there in this set checkpoint directory if I don't use persist or catchy in the program?
So in this checkpointing directory, okay, let me explain this. First, let me set the checkpointing directory, then let me show you the when I do the checkpoint, what will happen, then you will see. Okay, let me show you that. So we have
Okay.
already, where is that? Yeah, lensum is there. Okay, first let me do the unpersist on this. I did the unpersist. Okay, now let's go ahead and do lensum dot checkpoint. Okay, let me do this. I did the checkpoint. So right, doing the checkpointing is not enough. We need to do the collect. I mean, we need to do the things. Okay,
Catchy,
let's
sir.
go ahead. You understand now what it will store information?
Yeah. So I haven't noticed that there is a method called checkpoint. So
No, this is checkpoint directory. This is setting the directory, and this is the like your process or whatever it is. Now we go here.
catch.
Okay, so there is no information come in the storage. There is no, even though I did the checkpoint here, there is no information come in the storage. Okay, there is no information come in the storage. But let's go ahead and see in this checkpointing directory in the local disk. Let me check whether it is there in the local disk. Checkpointing. It's under drive data, not in this drive data. Okay, checkpoint. Look at here. It looks empty, but I don't know. I'm not really sure why it is empty. Even I did that. Action and all right. Let me see to debug string. You have called action also. Action also invoked. Action collect with it, no? Action invoked. It's not, nothing is showing here whether it is checkpointed or not. It's also not showing. Let me do 1 second. Checkpoint we did already. Normally we'll give HDFS location. I just given the file local location to check, to test whether it will work or not. Okay, so not really sure, but I see that directories get created, but nothing is there in this. Maybe why this is not loading.
And how to release that data? Is that uncheckpoint some method is there or unpersist can be it, sir?
I don't know that unpersist. I don't think it is unpersist. Is that? I'm not really sure about that. Let me do one thing. Sc dot get the checkpointing directory. It is getting the path. It's showing the path, but I'm not able to see any data in it. Maybe I don't think it's not able to write in this normal location, but in HDFS I have seen in HDFS the data will be there in the binary form. but here is I don't know. I am not able to see here. Okay. So any doubts so far about the cache, checkpoint, persist? Today's only with these three only we covered. Any questions? Let me see storage level. Okay, on this. I don't think you'll get the storage level on this because it's already it is not comes as a that part.
So it also says that our data can also be checked, right? Checkpointed. Like for example, if you have a list or if you have something which is not part of RDD, even that can be stored in checkpoint.
If the data is not part of RTD, how we can store that? No, whatever the data is the part of RTD, that data only we can store.
The documentation has data or RDD, so that got confused. Okay, so
Which where is that? You are saying that metadata and our data RTD data this one only, right? Data checkpointing and metadata. Metadata is your Spark metadata information, streaming context metadata information. Where you saw the data. Data means what? Here either the data will be either in the form of RDDs or D streams or data frames only, right?
okay,
The data will be in the form of either RDD or either data frame or the data sets or D streams. There won't be
okay,
another
okay.
normal data here. So another normal data, if you're creating any normal list or set or something, that is not Spark one, that is a Scala's collection. If you are storing the data in the form of RDD, data frame, data sets, then only we'll call them as an Spark objects, Spark data objects. Or whatever we are storing in the list, set, map, and all those are like normal Scala collections. So you can also check. We already have fruits, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is your normal Scala collection. Okay. There is no method called cache on it. There is no method called persist on it. There is no method called checkpoint on this.
Got
Clear?
okay. Okay.
So in Scala collections, you can't do. You have to do on the Spark objects, either RDD transfer, either RDD data frame or DStream or data set. Okay. Any other questions? No. Why it is checkpointing is not working in the local? I'm not really sure, but it should come as a reliable storage because since the normal file system is not a reliable storage, that's the reason it is not storing. If you guys, if anyone has a Hadoop setup, please check in the Hadoop setup your okay. There also you use the Spark shell only, right? Okay, understood. If anyone is using the Ubuntu or something, try to give the HDFS path and try, guys. I have given the local path like file:/. If anyone is using the Ubuntu machine, try to give HDFS:// that area, that path you give that path and try. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Actually, it's a different concept. Mainly, the checkpoint will actually use in the streaming applications. Normal RDD side, I haven't seen any time using the checkpoint. I have seen the people are using the persist or cache, not the checkpoint, because your checkpoint will not store the lineage graph information. It will not store. It will store only the data. I mean to say RDD or whatever it is. Okay. Any questions, guys? So I thought to cover one more part of this today. Okay, let's see in the next session. We'll connect and we'll see. We're almost done with these things, and I have to cover broadcast and accumulators. As Monica asked, aggregate by key and combine by key I need to cover. These things I can cover on a Monday. Okay, so then we will complete with the most of the transformations, so we can directly jump into the use cases. So use cases, I'll show a couple of use cases, so you guys can do the I can give the data. I already uploaded the data, sample data in a drive, so you guys can make use of the sample data. You guys go ahead and do your own analysis. So if anyone is interested, there is something called Kaggle. In the Kaggle you can see that lots of problems. You guys can make use of them and try it. Okay, yeah, that's it for now. So if you guys have any questions, please ask me, else we can leave for the day. Any questions? But today's session is more important for interview. Please make a note of it. Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for your time. Have a wonderful day. So and wonderful weekend too, and we'll connect in the next session.